centuries, the Torres Strait Islanders have relied on the sea for trade and food. Their skill and knowledge has been passed on through the generations. The many stories told aboard the luggers are from real-life experiences on the reef, maintaining the tradition of oral history of the men who braved the reef to bring home to their families the rich bounties held by the sea.
25 to 10, you're listening to ABC Tropical North. Anne O'Keefe with you on this Tuesday morning. Douglas, how do you feel about being the subject of a documentary?
Well, I still haven't sort of woken up yet since the Navy arrived here in Mackay, eh? Like I sort of, it's just all just sort of like a flash just hit me. And, oh yeah, it's unreal.
Has it been difficult having to remember so many of the stories, or is it good to be able to share them?
Yeah, it is hard to remember way back there, but I mean to say, like, when you start sitting down and you start thinking back, it all seems to come, it all comes back, yeah.
Yeah.
Douglas Pitt was born in 1935 on the Torres Strait island of Darnley, known to the islanders as Eru. His father had been outspoken about the work women were doing for the government. They were made to carry stones to build roads, and this had caused many who were pregnant to miscarry. After expressing his concerns, he was branded a troublemaker and was ordered off Darnley Island by the Director of Native Affairs. In 1937, Douglas Pitt Sr. gathered his family together and transported them on his lugger. They sailed to Thursday Island, then on into Cairns, Broomfield, Fishery Falls, and eventually settled in Mackay in 1942. Young Douglas soon began his career as a diver. Under the guidance of his tough but fair father, he soon became one of the best divers, gathering trochus shell off the reefs near Mackay and further up into the Great Barrier Reef. Now, at the age of 65, an illness is keeping him from the love of his life, diving. Facing the prospects of retirement, Douglas is now at the crossroad of his life.
Now, there is one story I want you to tell us, and that's the one where you nearly died. You got left out on a reef or something while you were out diving. How did that happen? Why did you get left behind?
That's just bringing fear into my life again.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you know, like at the time there, I was a skipper on the boat, and I had a crew of 13. And I told them to work towards the boat in the evening. This was around about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said, work towards the boat, but I didn't tell that I was going to land on the reef.
Oh, no.
And walk up at that low tide. It was a beautiful low tide that evening. And it's a good time for dry picking up on top of the reef in them days. So I had a wine netting bag I made, you know, about 3 foot high. And I had a rope handle on it and all that. And a brand new one I made it to dry pick, you know. I started diving in lagoons, you know, and way up there, and picking up shell and heaping up here and there and across, you know, like piles of trochus shell on the way, so we'd pick it up when I meet the dinghies. Sun started going down. I never met the dinghies. I was looking for them highest stones now, and it's a rock stone on the reef, and I climbed up on top and look up towards the way where the dinghies were supposed to be working towards me. Not a sign. And
his father instilled in Douglas the need to do what they were employed to do, gather shells. His father's words were taken literally.
He couldn't stay away from the water, from the reef. He used to go out and only had one thing on his mind, and that was trochus shell. It used to upset me sometimes, because he's always looking for shell, and sometimes we just swim right through, don't have lunch or anything like that. We just swim straight through. There was a few times, you know, that we should have went back to the boat on time when every other dinghy was heading back, but we stayed until nearly dark. We couldn't see the reef, and then he came up. And when he came up, he said, "Okay, let's go."
So I grabbed hold of my glass and put it up with my hands behind it, and I started flickering and made sure that it was working, and it did. So I just flickered it in the right direction towards the boat. So I kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and then lost the sun. The sun went down, so that was all right. And that time while I'm doing all this, the water tides coming in was already running over the reef at the back end behind me. I was up on near the higher part of the reef, but it was already over. So that was all right, and I just kept looking, standing on that road, on that rock, and I made sure that dinghy was coming, and I waited, and I could see the dinghy, and I could see like the guy was rowing towards me. So what I did while the tide was coming in, the sun went down, but it was still sort of, I can still see. I put my glasses on, and I'm swimming, water up to my waist now, and I'm swimming around and picking up shell that are coming out on the evening tide, and still making a big heap of troker shell there to fill up that dinghy when he gets there.
Couldn't help yourself, could you?
Diving was not all that interested young Douglas. He soon fell in love and secretly courted the attractive Nami Barber. Nami was also born in the Torres Straits. Her father's Japanese background saw her family interned during the Second World War. Her mother relocated in Mackay and married the snake charmer Ram Chandra, famous for his antivenin for the extremely venomous taipan. Douglas's mother and father soon discovered their courtship and quickly moved to correct things in the traditional way.
We was courting for a while there, and then his parents came over and saw Mum and Dad and said that Doug and Nami are seeing a lot of each other, and I think, you know, in their island ways, it's not right, so I think they better get engaged.
It's depended on your mother and father them days that if they wanted you to marry that girl, well, that's the girl you had to marry.